Hello and welcome to the Pretty Good Gaming Daily Triple, your no shit gaming news video. That's 3 news stories in one video with zero faff. We all know the situation with Cyberpunk that happened late last year and the shit show that ensued. But it wasn't just gamers who were mad and felt misled, as many investors actually filed lawsuits against CD Projekt. The company now faces 4 of these lawsuits from investors all at once in the form of one mega lawsuit. CD Projekt admitted this in a regulatory update which said the court has consolidated the lawsuits and appointed a lead plaintiff. Following this consolidation, all 4 lawsuits will be subject to potential common court proceedings. The investors argue that CD Projekt misled them as to the state of the game, specifically on last-gen systems, which resulted in them losing money, or rather not earning as much money as they could have since the game still sold millions. Even when factoring in refunds, the game sold through 13 million units as of just December 22nd, so despite the copious issues the game had, it still sold very well. Sony literally removed the game from its store due to the sheer volume of refund requests it received and still remains absent from the digital platform. One of these lawsuits is the one from back in December, which was filed by New York-based law firm, the Rosen Law Firm. The press release for that suit at the time pointed to the performance issues on last-gen systems and that CD Projekt misled them. According to the lawsuit, defendants throughout the class period made false and or misleading statements and or failed to disclose that Cyberpunk 2077 was virtually unplayable on current generation Xbox or PlayStation systems due to an enormous number of bugs. As a result, Sony would remove Cyberpunk 2077 from the PlayStation Store, and Sony, Microsoft, and CD Projekt would be forced to offer full refunds of the game. Consequently, CD Projekt would suffer reputational and pecuniary harm, and as a result, defendants' statements about its business, operations, and prospects were materially false and misleading and or lacked a reasonable basis at all relevant times. When the true details entered the market, the lawsuit claims that investors suffered damages. Another similar suit was filed in January in California, with CD Projekt disputing the claim and the lack of specific mentions of damages. They said the company will undertake vigorous action to defend itself against any such claims. It appears both of these have been folded together with a couple of others to form this Voltron of lawsuits that CD Projekt now faces. This consolidated suit is a class action, meaning that it represents a number of individuals all at once who will each get a portion of the damages if they win. As with all legal proceedings, this stuff takes ages to go through, so don't expect to hear anything for a while yet. I really don't care at all about investors since they're never really actual gamers and have more money than I ever will, so I'm definitely not jealous, but I would be interested to see if any lawsuits come from people who actually bought the game. I'm sure there is some talk of it, but the question remains whether any of them will actually come to anything. Even if you have a decent PC or didn't run into many bugs, people were clearly misled and outright lied to in terms of the console versions, and it's a total disgrace. Obviously, that ire is pointed at the management and board members who caused this situation, not the regular Joes who are just working away. The company's stock price is yet to recover, though it has climbed a little through May, likely due to there not being any overt bad news, at least for a little while. The company has largely kept its head down for the past few weeks, presumably because it is hard at work fixing the situation. In times like this, with broken games, I tend to think no news is good news for the most part. To reiterate what I've said pretty much every time this game is mentioned, I'm sure it will be great eventually when it's all fixed properly, but the old gen will probably never be any good, and who knows how long that'll even take. I do plan to reinstall it at some point, probably around the 1-year anniversary, to see what's what, because there is a fantastic game in there somewhere. It may be buried deep under hundreds of bugs and bad mechanics, but I do believe it's in there. And next up, Outriders launched back in April to mixed reviews and success. It currently sits in the low 70s across the board on Metacritic, and many of the user reviews are extremely low due to performance issues like inventory wipes and constant crashes. Nevertheless, Square Enix seems pretty happy with the game's performance, as it saw over 3.5 million unique players in the first month. This figure was shared on Twitter along with many others like 120 million hours played, the most popular class being Trickster, and 20 billion kills. All that sounds very impressive, and to Square it definitely is, as it said Outriders is poised to be the company's next big franchise. This may come as a shock since the game has had quite a significant fall off since it launched about a month ago. At the time of writing, the game has 4,000 players online right now on Steam, with a high of 7,800 for the past 24 hours. Many will decry this as a dead game, but these numbers aren't really that bad if they can hold out. Developer People Can Fly has constantly reiterated that this is not a game as a service, and that it currently exists as a full and finished product. That means additional content is far less likely, or what may come will be fairly minor when compared with the game's contemporaries like Destiny. For reference, Destiny 2 has 70,000 players online right now at the time of writing, and 90,000 over the past 24 hours. While Outriders definitely has some strong points, it's unclear how long it will last, and online games like this live and die by their communities. If people aren't playing it in a year's time, the continued operation of the game's servers is called into question, and since this game is online only, even in single player, that could be a serious problem. Obviously, we're not there yet, and it may not actually happen, but it is definitely a risk. Though with Square claiming that this will be the company's next big franchise, that risk may have been mitigated at least somewhat. Much of the credit for the game's early success can be attributed to its day one launch on Xbox Game Pass, almost entirely removing the barrier to entry for a huge portion of the potential player base. What Square didn't share is the amount of people who tried it on Game Pass for free and then just completely uninstalled it and dropped off. The game's biggest hurdle right now is the swathe of performance issues it still faces. I dropped off a while ago due to the problems my PC was having, and I know I'm not the only one. A new patch was meant to launch recently but has been rescheduled due to an issue with stability. Just like with Cyberpunk, I probably will go back at some point, but all the performance issues left a really sour taste in my mouth. And finally, no hits runs in games are nothing new, but I always find them impressive. These days there's a whole subgenre of them where people tackle tough games like Souls-like games, which are even more impressive. A new record though has just been set with GTA 5 as one player completed the entire campaign without taking any damage. In total, it took YouTuber Unnamed 48 attempts to finish it with no hits. Part of what made GTA what it is today is how chaotic and explosive the game can be. Shootouts are frequent and an important part of the game's story, let alone its vast open world which is primed for insanity. Honestly, the most impressive thing to me is not taking damage even out of combat. The drivers in Los Santos could definitely use some new glasses as you get wiped out completely at random sometimes. And then there's fall damage, which I've always thought is wildly inconsistent in GTA games. The full 3-part video series is available on his YouTube channel, which is linked below and took around 9 hours to complete. And that's your lot for today. If you enjoyed this no shit format, go ahead and give the video a like to give it a boost, hit subscribe and the bell if you want to stay up to date on all future installments. Toss a coin to your YouTuber over at patreon.com/prettygoodgaming. That's all for today. I've been Henry Cooper. Bye for now.